Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Up Close and Personal podcast series. Kate and I have the pleasure of doing this again. We had done this, I think, back in the summer of 2019, and it was a whole lot of fun. You guys voted who you wanted to most hear from, and for us to put down the business chat and get up close and personal with your favorite practice builders and coaches. And on today's podcast, we have Kasey Compton, as you guys voted her for this round of Up Close and Personal. So I'm just going to share a little bit about Kasey, then we're going to put down all the business talk. We're going to get to know a little bit about Kasey, and then you guys had a ton of questions for her, and we're going to ask her those questions. Not all of them, of course, because there's a ton. And then at the end, we're going to be doing a lightning round where Kasey has to answer a ton of questions in 90 seconds or less. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, beverage, whatever it is, and let's get up close and personal with Kasey Compton. So Kasey's a spirited entrepreneur who has embraced many challenges and now finds satisfaction in designing new businesses. She's had an entrepreneurial mind and knew that becoming a business owner was always in the cards. Kasey turned her mental health private practice into a thriving group practice, going from 1 to 12 clinicians in 1 year, and continued to multiply from there. Her and her team took this business from 0 to 3 million in less than 4 years. And today, Mindsight Behavioral Group employs over 80 professionals and is on track to have over 100 employees and 5 million in revenue by 2022. Kasey's superpower is helping others develop the strategic systems needed to scale and stabilize their practice. She now works as a small business consultant as Kasey Consulting, where she helps people do just that. Welcome, Kasey.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Well, yes. Thank you so much for participating. And, it's so funny because it's like, we do this for fun and, to put down that business chat. And we didn't realize that we totally hit on all your anxieties of like winning or losing and being competitive. And then you just like rose to the occasion and put it out there.
Yeah, I so just wanted to just forget I got that email and just pretend it didn't exist. But then the more I started thinking about it, I was like, no, I've got to win. I have to. I can't help it. I can't help it. But it's been really fun, and it's been great to have the support of, so many people. And it's been really scary too, knowing that they were able to post questions that I have to answer. But
yeah, and you don't know what the questions are.
Exactly. I have no idea.
So before we get to know a little bit about you and who you are and your upbringing and all that stuff, let's just take a quick break from one of our sponsors. Tired of never quite feeling comfortable with your private practice financials? I'd like you to meet Green Oak Accounting. Their goal is to empower private practice owners with the financial information they need to make good business decisions. They specialize in working with solo and group private practices in the mental health industry, so they are uniquely positioned to help with figuring out what's normal in your business finances and what's not. So if you've ever had a conversation with your accountant or bookkeeper that left you wishing that they understood private practice or had some best practices to share, head over to greenoakaccounting.com and schedule a free consultation to see if they might be a good fit for you. They can help you with all your accounting needs, from bookkeeping to payroll to profit first and budgeting and forecasting. Head over to greenoakaccounting.com now.
When it comes to keeping your practice organized, you want software that's not only simple, but the best. We recommend Therapy Notes. Their platform lets you manage notes, claims, scheduling, and they have a new awesome telehealth platform for your online counseling sessions. They offer amazing unlimited phone support and email support, so when you have a question, they are there to help. To get started with the practice management software trusted by over 60,000 professionals, go to therapynotes.com and start a free trial today. Enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and they will give you 2 months to try for free. Go to therapynotes.com.
Kasey, share with us the story about you. Where did you grow up? Tell us about your family, siblings, all that good stuff.
Oh, gosh. This is so hard. Business talk is so much easier. I grew up in South Central Kentucky. I'm from a town called Somerset. Most people have never heard of it, but we're most known for Lake Cumberland, which is, I think, the largest man-made lake in the United States, I believe. Hopefully I'm not wrong on that. But so we have a really cute, cool little emerging town, very small. The city in the town, or in the county that I live, I think has about 5,000 people. So it's pretty small. So I was born here and grew up here, moved off went a little north. Whenever I graduated from high school, I went to Lexington and moved there, and just realized that I don't know, I guess I was always this kid that, the people that grow up in a small town and they're like, I just got to get out. I just want to get out. And so that was me. I just wanted to get out. So I packed up on a whim and moved to Chicago, and found this really great makeup artist up there that worked with a lot of modeling agencies. And I started working with her. She was teaching me a lot about freelancing and about, just doing makeup. And I did that for a while. And then the bug got me. I just wanted to be back home, and I was ready to do something that provided a little bit more stability than, the night, the freelance thing in Chicago. So I moved back and started back to college and finished college. And I think the rest is kind of history from there. I think everyone's heard that story. So finished college, and then now I'm here doing mental health counseling and operating businesses.
Awesome. And so did you become a makeup artist? Is that what you did out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so how old were you when you went to Chicago?
I think I just turned 19.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I had never, I didn't know anything about Chicago. Everyone's like, did you have family? And I actually did have a cousin that lived like in the northern suburb of the city, but I didn't know anybody. I was just, I don't know. Now I think about like, how was I not terrified? I would never do that now, ever. But it was cool. It was a cool experience. It was something that I think made me appreciate my hometown much more than I think I would if I wouldn't have left.
What did you learn about yourself during that time when you were like, I got to get out of here, and you left and you were just in this brand new city doing your thing?
Oh gosh, I learned a lot of things. I learned that I'm very resourceful. I didn't have, like my family growing up, we were not wealthy. We could put gas in our car and eat. And that's come pretty close to it. So I didn't have any financial support up there. I think I left, I don't even think I had money when I left. I just left and found a job, and it made me appreciate the fact that I didn't need anybody, that I could always be okay. It helped me understand that I was very resilient. It did a lot. I know that I terrified my mom when I went. I think she was worried sick every single day. She thought I was going to be murdered. But it really toughened me up. I just came back home with a different mentality that I needed in order to be where I am now. I can't imagine if I wouldn't have learned the lessons I did moving to Chicago, how I would have handled a lot of the challenges that I faced in my career now. Really don't.
Nice. And how long were you in Chicago?
I stayed there about a little over a year, maybe a year and a half or so. I endured one winter, like one real winter.
What's Kentucky winters?
Bad, but not like Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you just get all that. You still get air off the lake here, but air off of, oh man, going in between those buildings, it was so cold. It was so cold. And I didn't live in the city. So it was like an act of Congress to get me from my apartment down into the city. I had to ride 2 trains, had to walk, I don't know, probably a couple miles total. It was a big adventure. Yes.
I'm sure. I'm from Connecticut, so I understand the cold, and I hate the cold. So living in a city and having to be outside,
yeah.
I always love this series because it's so fun to be able to read everybody's questions that they send in, that they want us to ask, and to hear everybody's stories. And we all talk business all the time, so to get to know you on a personal level is really fun. We're just going to dive in, and one of our questions is, what was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you? So we'll put you on the spot right up front.
There's a lot of embarrassing things. This was kind of embarrassing. I don't know if it was the most. So we were speaking last year at the Group Practice Builder Summit in Chicago. And my speech or my talk was about building a business on purpose and all of the things that go into that. And really, it was a breakdown of the 5 different core systems in business. And I had the bright idea, like I always do, that I'm going to involve my team in my presentation because they're such an important part of what I do. So I had like 3 people there with me, and we had practiced this because it's one thing to get up and talk by yourself, but then when you have to pick up cues from other people, and like it was just a lot. It was a lot. And so my husband, you all don't know him personally, but anyone that does will totally understand this. He is just like a free spirit. I mean, he has no sense of time. He's just like, I'm here. And I'm like, let's go. Let's go. Come on, hurry. And so we had drilled into him, like, Trevor, you have this one part, okay? Like one part of the thing. And you cannot screw it up. So please don't screw it up. You've got to pay attention. Well, our room was packed. Like, it was standing room only. People were around the walls, standing up. And, I was 9 months pregnant. Yeah, I mean, I could have literally had our baby any day. And we get up there, and I'm like, gearing up, like giving him the eye, like, it's almost time for you to talk. And he gets up there, and we're talking about systems, and he was going to talk about marketing. And he stands up in front of the whole entire audience, and just as serious as he could be, he said, sometimes you just have to twerk the system. You just have to twerk it. And he had no idea. He thought that was the real word that you use. And I like, okay, in a split second, I had to make a decision. Do I just make fun of him now with everybody? Or do I ignore it and pretend that they didn't catch on, which I know that they did, because everyone's face is just like went white. They were like, and so I had to make fun of him publicly in front of the whole entire. I was like, twerk it, Trevor. Let's, I was just giving him a really hard time. And to this day, he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? I said, it's tweak the system. Oh, so to this day, we'll be on something live and someone will say, where's Trevor? Is he twerking today? And it's so funny, but it was really embarrassing. Like, I think my face turned so many shades of red. It wasn't even funny. That was up there. That was pretty embarrassing.
That's a pretty good story.
It's so funny because I was so involved in the story, I didn't even remember what the question was.
It was the most embarrassing thing. That's a really good most embarrassing story. More so for your husband, Trevor. And this next question leads perfectly into that. How would you say your business has affected your relationship with Trevor?
So I feel like we're pretty fortunate. I hear a lot of horror stories from that. We didn't start the business together, so he had his own job and I was doing my own, the thing with the business. And so that was always very separate, but I always wanted him to be involved because of the flexibility and the freedom that it could provide us with our kids. For a large part of my 5-year-old's childhood, he never took her to school, like never took her to daycare, never took her anywhere because he had to get up and go to work so early. And I just thought about that a lot, and I thought, he's gonna miss all of these things that she's gonna these milestones that she's going to have at school. He's not going to get to see graduation. He's not going to get this, he's just not. And he would go into work at like 4:00 in the morning. So we made the decision to get in a place financially where we could bring him on. And we knew that he was going to do marketing because that's what he had done in the past at his other job, and he's really good at it. So we brought him in after the business was already established and the roles in the business were already established. And I think probably because of his personality and mine together, he is a very free-spirited person. He doesn't have to be in control. He's not one of these guys that like have to be the boss, He doesn't have an ego. He doesn't have any of those things that I think could have made it very challenging for us. So we just always kept the business part very separate. Like he had a person that he answered to in the business, and it was not me, and we left it that way. And we just don't talk about business at home. It's just very separate. And I think if anything, it's probably made our relationship stronger just because we do have the luxury of, he doesn't have to ask off when we want to go somewhere, or, it's just, he hasn't been back to work since we had Thayer, who's 10 months old. He's been home with the baby, and that would have never been able to happen otherwise. So I think it's really been a blessing.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool to hear. It makes me think of my own relationship with my husband, and I just had a baby 5 months ago, and yeah, I can imagine that that's going to be really nice to have him home with the baby.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a perfect time for us to go ahead and take our sponsor break, and then we'll come back with more with Kasey. If you're looking for a new source of income or wanting to supplement your current work, BetterHelp.com is a great option. BetterHelp allows you the flexibility to choose your caseload size and schedule clients at your convenience. Every day, thousands of people seek the help of licensed therapists at BetterHelp. If you're a licensed therapist or psychologist, BetterHelp is the easiest way to apply your clinical expertise online. With BetterHelp, you can focus 100% of your time on counseling. No need to deal with finding referrals, business operations, managing insurance, or billing. They handle it all. Visit BetterHelp.com/PPS, as in private practice startup, to complete a brief application and get started today. That's BetterHelp.com/PPS.
So it's always funny because even though we put down the business chat, it's hard not to talk about business because people have a lot of questions. And Kasey, you do a lot of things. So this is a two-part question. One is, what are all the things that you do? And two, how do you manage it all?
You mean, so what do I do within my role in my business? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And your professional, all the businesses you have going on.
What all do I do? Okay. So within, my group practice at this point, I have a really good team and team that I can depend on. So my role in that business right now is just basically the design, the vision, the design of the company, trying to be the one that's forward thinking and asking the team like, hey guys, where are you taking this? Like, I see what you're doing right now, but what are you working towards? And just making sure that everyone is we're working towards the same goal collectively. So within my group practice, that's kind of what I do. I don't really do any of the day-to-day operations. The only thing I really do is payroll. And that's because I can't get anyone else to do it. Nobody wants to do it. But so that part's pretty set. Now, with the consulting side of what I do, I feel like I'm doing more there. We've beta tested some things. We're getting ready to launch some things. That's kind of the consulting piece of what I do is what's fun to me because I take what I've learned in my group practice or ideas that we've tested or, different things that we thought about doing. And then we test them out. So it's kind of like our laboratory. And then if they work, then we're like, great, now we can tell people about it. And then so we put together something for consulting. If they don't work, then we say, oh, we need to tell people about this. Don't do this. And then, so, the group practice is kind of like the laboratory for what I'm doing in consulting, which is more of, I do everything there, from the ideas, the concepts, the content. So I definitely do a lot more within that one. And then the property, so we own some properties and that's pretty hands off too. It's just managing the property.
Nice. So one of the things I really like this question is, one of my favorite things about being in business and entrepreneur is I see it as personal growth. And that's what this question is about. Like, what aspect of your personality did business bring out that you had to deal with that maybe either you didn't know or that you struggled with? I think it's a great question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it brought out some good qualities for sure, but some of the bad things that it brought out was my sense of control. Like when I first started my business back in 2015, I was very controlling. I mean, it was almost like that first child or, something that you're you're afraid that you're going to kill it if you do something wrong. Like everything that I filtered everything through this lens of, if I mess this up, it's going to fail. If this isn't done, we're going to fail, and then of course the emotion that brings out is ridiculous. So it definitely brought out this sense of like control freak in me that took me a good 2 years probably to just let go of. And that was a struggle. Like that was really hard because it's yours and it's got your name attached to it and it's got your reputation attached to it. And I just remember at one point thinking, okay, I've kind of got a decision to make. Like I can stay like this helicopter mom of my employees. And of course, we're probably going to have a better product. We're probably going to have a better service. Like that sort of thing is probably going to be better. But my sanity is going to be gone. My therapists are going to quit because I'm going to drive them nuts. So I just really made a very conscious decision that I was just going to let it go. And we have certain standards that I expect people to follow and to meet. But beyond that, I stopped. I stopped doing all of the micromanaging and all of that stuff. And now people make mistakes all the time, but we can talk about it and they know what they're supposed to do. And it's just been a much better feeling for me.
Well, yeah. And I'm sure your staff too, like how liberating.
Yeah.
Right. I always talk about the illusion of control. It's just an illusion.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I say it because I self-proclaimed control freak as well. So I totally get you.
Yeah.
Questions about your own self-care. So what's one of your non-negotiable self-care practices?
That's a good question. Okay. So this isn't probably not the greatest example. But I have learned as in my old age, as I'm getting older, that there are certain things that give me a sense of peace and relaxation. And one of those is the beach. I don't know if it's just, I don't even like to swim. I don't even know that I can swim, honestly. I've probably been in water like twice in my life. I don't like it. I don't want to be wet. I just don't like it, but I love to hear it and I love the smell of it. And I just love everything else about it. So for me, some non-negotiables is if I'm not at the water, like at least 2 or 3 times a year or more, I start having this weird, like panic reaction almost. It's like I have to get away. And sometimes, for self-care, I might not go to the beach because that's kind of a big event for us, but I have to get away. Like I have to just get away from my scenery and get away from my house, get away from my office and just have a good reset. So I think that's probably the biggest non-negotiable for me. And sometimes I just like to be quiet. Like I just like everything to be quiet. And so sometimes even like here we have 3 kids and they're very loud. And so sometimes I'll just leave and just go find somewhere and I'll just sit and it'll just be me and I'm just listening to everything else and not the noise that our life brings sometimes.
And is that something you do like on a daily, weekly basis? Is there another thing that you make sure that you do that really grounds you?
Reading. I mean, that's a big one too. If I'm not reading something at least once a week, I don't feel connected to things going on. that's something I really enjoy. And I really also, self-care for me, I guess probably does look a little different than for some people, but I do love to write. It's hard. I'm struggling right now because I think I get in my own head when I'm trying to do it, but I swear if I drink a glass of bourbon, I'm like, oh, I can just write. So I'm trying to be careful about that because I told my husband, I said, I want to write this book, but I don't want to be an alcoholic. So I got to figure something out.
well, here's some validation for you, which I use when I'm trying to write something in any creativity. When we did the Not So Typical Psychotherapist Summit in May 2019, Laura Long did a whole thing on copywriting. And she said, if you actually have a glass of whatever your favorite beverage is, it actually helps you be creative. So there you go.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
See, validated.
It does. Yeah, I tried. I sat down. I actually still have it on my computer. I've not published it. I was writing a blog while I was on vacation, and I really didn't feel like drinking anything, so I didn't. And I wrote, and then the next day I went back and read it. I'm like, this is terrible. Like, I can't write. I can't publish this. And so I don't know. Well, I'm glad to know. I'm going to have to tell her thank you for that because that makes me feel a lot better about myself.
That's pretty funny.
And speaking of bourbon, you and I both love bourbon, and we need to know, what is your favorite bourbon?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't know. But I do love Blanton's. That might be my favorite. I love some Pappy. Have you ever had Pappy?
I have not. I've heard of it, though.
Yeah, but now that's something like you might drink like once a year. It's very, very
super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I like those. I like Old Pogue pretty well too. And Uriah got me on to Mitchers. Have you ever tried that?
Not yet.
Yeah. It's made in Louisville and it's very affordable bourbon. And it's got this weird, like, it's sweet on the front end. And then I said this to somebody the other day. I said, it's really sweet on the front end, but it'll kick you in the behind, like as it goes. And it's just a different kind of taste. But I guess I'm going to go with Blanton's.
All right. Sounds good. So a few more questions kind of on the self-care track. Where's your favorite place to vacation?
Oh, that's easy. So we found a little place called Fripp Island in South Carolina about 4 years ago. And we've gone back every single year, sometimes twice a year. It's like, the place where Dirty Dancing was filmed, that resort.
Oh, yes.
It reminds me of that, but without, like the dancing and all that stuff. But it's like a little private resort. Nobody drives cars. They all ride golf carts and, there's just hardly anybody there. You could let your kids go and run around or your animals and no one's going to snatch them up. Definitely. We love it there. Nice.
And what's something on your bucket list?
Oh, I think I may have already mentioned that. I definitely want to write a book. That's something I would like to have at least halfway finished by the end of this year.
Awesome.
What's the topic?
Here's the thing. So I tend to overdo everything, of course. So it's really hard for me to show restraint. So I actually have two ideas right now. There's one that I'm really interested in pursuing, but I've got to do some more research. But it's called Bigger Than You Were Built For, and it's really based on resiliency in business owners and how sometimes we think that. I remember growing up thinking, I remember my grandpa saying, well, why in the world do you want to go to college? You can make $10 an hour and stay in Somerset. And he thought that was great. That was so good. And if I would have listened to that, or if I wouldn't have just been that defiant brain in my head, wait a minute, it's untelling where I would be right now. So that's where I'm leaning with that one. I just got to I've got to come up with a method and some kind of process that people can use when they're facing adversity or challenges in their business. And that's kind of the missing piece with that one.
Yeah, that sounds like a really cool book.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I'd love to move on some topics about family. So you shared a little bit about Trevor's your husband. How long have you guys been married?
I don't know. Listen,
Together,
I love numbers, but I'm really bad with dates and time. So we have been married, I think we've been married 4 years. Yeah, I'm going to go with 4 years. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
You could just say it was pre-recorded for a different time. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 4 years.
And so someone also wants to know, how did you choose your children's names? So I guess what are their names and how did you choose them?
Okay, so my oldest, her name is Mamie. So Maime, and I always love vintage, like old stuff. My house is full of just old stuff. And so Mamie was a very old name, and I actually heard it from Mamie Eisenhower, who was the first lady, and I loved it. And that's really how, I mean, there wasn't any other reason behind that. And then my 5-year-old, her name is Lennon. And I struggled with that one because I wasn't really sure. I didn't know what to name her. I knew she was going to be a boy. And if she was going to be a boy, I was going to name her Thayer. But she was a girl, and my husband is just like a big music guy. He's extremely talented. He can play any instrument. He sings, like he's really gifted. He doesn't know it, but he's really, really talented. And so we liked kind of that throwback to the music industry with, Beatles and John Lennon, and so that's kind of how we ended up with her name. And then my 10-month-old is named after the name that I was going to name Lennon if she was a boy, which was Thayer. And we did that because Trevor said if he ever had a boy, he wanted the baby to have a name that started with T. He said that ran in his family. So that's really the name that stuck with me a long time ago, and that's just what we went with.
Cool. And people want to know, what do you and Trevor argue most about? What's the hot topic in your relationship?
Let's dish it.
This is going to sound so cheesy, honestly. Okay, so what I love most about Trevor and what drives me crazy the most is the same thing. He is such a free spirit, and he's a slob. Like, he is an absolute slob, and I can't stand it. And I think maybe because where I have so much going on all the time, that if I come home and our house looks like a tornado ran through it, I will lose it, like lose my mind, especially the laundry room. If I walk past the laundry room, this is what he does. So he is a master of procrastination when it comes to like picking up after himself. So he will like let dishes soak for 2 weeks. You know, I'm like, hey, you didn't wash the well, they're soaking. Well, they don't need to soak until the stainless turns to rust. They need to get washed. Same with the laundry. He'll wash the same load of clothes like 5 times to keep from having to fold it or hang it up in the closet. It drives me nuts. So honestly, if we fight, there's a really good chance that that's what it's about.
And are these clothes that stay in the washer, or you're talking about they went to the washer, to the dryer, back to the washer?
Back to the washer. Uh-huh.
Get out, really?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so he's not allowed to wash my clothes anymore at all because he ruins everything. He ruins every single thing I have. So right now, and I don't like to do laundry, so right now I have hardly any clean clothes because I haven't washed my own clothes and he doesn't wash them. So I just keep wearing everything I can find that's clean until I really have nothing left to wear. But yeah, that drives me insane. He's just a slob. Like, it's just so gross. It just grosses me out. I can't stand it. Sorry, Trevor.
Aw, Trevor.
There was a few people who asked about your pet peeves, but it sounds like you just kind of talked about some of them.
Yeah. I can't stand it when someone tells me they're going to do something and they don't do it. That just like sends me over the edge. And it doesn't matter if it's in, like right now, our landscape, like we hired a landscaper, like 6 months ago to build a retaining wall for my kids' little playground area. And, he's still not showed up, and I've got a big pile of gravel, like 4 foot tall out there, a big hole in my yard that someone could die in, and it just don't show up. And that stuff just drives me crazy. I think that that's like an integrity thing for me. I don't like it. If you tell me you're going to do something, I just expect you're going to do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's something that most people don't know about you?
Good one.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm pretty open about stuff. I'm not sure.
Well, I was going to say, while you're thinking, and I was trying to find the question again and I can't, but I saw it. Someone said, how much do you love Trevor rubbing your feet? So this is someone who clearly knows Trevor. About you. Oh,
that was probably Trevor. No, that's like my favorite thing in the world, probably. we can't. I don't ever do my nails like they look awful. I just don't care. But now my feet, if I could go get a pedicure, I do that every single week. And of course, everything's been closed, so we haven't been able to do that. It's really hard for me to relax. Like, it's hard for me just to shut off everything and just relax. But that's one way that will do it. That's going to drive me crazy that I can't think of something that not everybody would know.
It'll probably wake you up at like 2 a.m.
I know. I'll be sending you all an email saying, hey, I thought of something.
Perfect. We'll use it for the landing page.
And it sounds like somebody else knows you, but they said, why don't you hug? Is that a thing?
I bet that's Tara Boston Kemper. I could tell you who wrote these questions. Yeah, they tease me at work about being a cactus. I don't know. I just don't like to be that close to people. It just kind of freaks me out. It's not that I don't like to hug. Maybe it's just how I grew up. Like, I don't ever remember a time where my parents hugged me. I really don't. I can't tell you that. I'm not saying they didn't, because they probably did, but I don't remember. Now my grandparents would, but like, our family was just not close like that. And that's probably why. Trevor's family is just the opposite. They're very, very much touchy-feely. And so, like, if someone hugs me, it doesn't freak me out, but I'm not going to go hug somebody. I'm not going to be the one to initiate the hug.
You're not a hugger.
No, there's a really funny picture that was from a couple years ago at Slowdown School that I went to, and I met Tara there, and we were out at this restaurant drinking wine, and somebody was getting ready to take our picture, and she grabbed me and hugged me, like, right in the middle of the shot, and my face is like freaking out, and the picture is so funny. And so whenever you said that, that's exactly what came to my mind about the
That's interesting you say that, because I know that we were supposed to have the Not So Typical Psychotherapist Summit here in May, right? We're recording this in June. And so I would say, like, be prepared when you come to South Florida. Like, South Florida is very touchy-feely.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see how COVID affects everything, because I don't know how huggy and touchy-feely people are going to be, even with handshaking. It's kind of like a thing of the past right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for warning me.
In general, people are very huggy, I would say, outside of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, like, my oldest daughter is just like me. Like, she doesn't take a compliment very well. She's just very shy when it comes to that sort of thing. She's not a big hugger. But now, like, Trevor, if he just meets you, he'll hug you. Like, he just doesn't have a filter when it comes to any of that stuff. My 5-year-old, she's the same way. She wants to hug everybody, and she tells everyone she loves them. And, like, I mean, she's just, she's so sweet. And me and Mamie, we're just the opposite. Like, we're not like that at all. It's kind of funny.
Kasey, we've warmed you up now. Are you ready for the lightning round? Because we're going to fire some questions your way.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, let's do it.
You ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go first.
I'll start it off. If you had to be quarantined with one celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, gosh. Oh, I can't say that. Okay. I don't know exactly, but I'm going to say it has to be a chef. I want to be quarantined with a famous chef.
Yeah. Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
What's your spirit animal?
Maybe a cat.
Favorite sandwich?
Ham and cheese loaf with mustard.
Weirdest job you've ever had?
I cooked hamburgers for golfers and would feed them as they would come around through the golf course. I know that's not that weird, but that's about the weirdest job I've ever had.
What is your superpower?
Order and efficiency, definitely. System that, like making things work well.
If you could do Freaky Friday with anybody and switch positions with them for a day, who would it be?
Gosh, these are hard. Switch positions with anybody for a day. I'm going to switch positions with... This is crazy, but I'm going to say Ernesto because I want to be able to dance, and he can dance on TikTok, and I can't.
I love it. That's funny because I was just going to ask you favorite go-to karaoke song or favorite.
Oh no, neither. No? I can't sing. No, can't dance.
Can't
Nothing.
Dance.
Trevor taught me how to do this little thing in the car the other night, and he was dying laughing because he's like, "That's the most dance I've ever seen you do." Yeah.
Favorite ice cream flavor.
I'm an old one. I like butter pecan, or I like rainbow sherbet.
Superhero you're most like?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna say. Can I say Wonder Woman? I don't know that many women.
Yep, of course.
Yeah, that's gonna be me.
What's something that makes you really nervous?
This.
I love it.
And here's a little racy one is, have you ever been skinny dipping?
Yes. Yeah.
How are we doing with time? I think we've definitely gone 90 seconds.
And how about this? Would you ever take the last piece of pie?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What is your favorite pie?
I like cobbler, so I can eat some blackberry cobbler, some peach cobbler. Probably one of those. Yeah.
And someone asked, is Starbucks really coffee? I'm going to say, of course it is. Like, who's going to ask that question?
Yeah.
Sorry, big Starbucks lover. Yeah. Well, Kasey, it's been a pleasure. And is there anything that maybe you wanted to share about you that we haven't asked that you think is important for people to know on this Up Close and Personal podcast?
I don't think so. I mean, this has been really fun, and I'm really happy that you all picked me to do this. It's been scary. It's been a little anxiety provoking, but no, it's been really fun. I think it's a great idea to put people in more of just a personal look at them in a personal light, especially with everything going on right now. I think being able to connect with people on a personal level is important. So I can't think of anything else, but I'm really just appreciative of the opportunity to be on here and be at the beck and call of all of the people who decided to post a question.
Yeah, and we so appreciate you doing that, and really appreciate everyone who participated because they chose you and 4 or 5 others that we will be interviewing as we continue the Up Close and Personal podcast series. And if you haven't checked out our previous Up Close and Personal, you might want to do that as well. There we got to interview Ernesto Segismundo, Katie Reed, Tiffany McLean, Allison Per Year, and Laura Long. And we'll put the link in the show notes page so you guys can go check those out as well. But make sure you guys join us next time for our next guest that you guys voted on so we can get up close and personal.
Thanks for being here, Kasey. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.